Hello guys, hope you're doing well as always and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be reacting to my Premier League predictions from the start of the season. We're going to see how I've done. I haven't actually watched this video since I put it out, so without further ado, let's get straight into the video and see how I did. Straight away, we're back with the old setup that I used to have before I had my mic, so this is going to be painful. What's going on guys? I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be doing my Premier League. Okay, the lack of mic is already getting on my nerves, but we moved. It was early days in the channel, so we've progressed. Starting off in 20th place, we've got Watford. Not the best start. Player to watch for Watford this season is Ben Foster. Cycling GK, this one's for you. I'm such a twat. I'm such a twat. Ben Foster actually managed to maintain 73.8 saves per game. Great stat. Could be a good option for your fantasy football teams. Absolutely not. Is my player to watch. Now moving on into 18th place, we have got Burnley. Not a bad shout. Now my player to watch for Burnley this season is James Tarkowski. Absolute rock at the back for Burnley for the past few seasons. He's not had a bad season to be fair, so it's not a bad shout for myself. Now 18th place, we have got Norwich. Okay, so we didn't do too badly so far. The signings that they brought in are still relatively unproven in the Premier League, a lot of them. Great shout. Losing Buendia, the 15 goals and 15 assists he got last season. Another great shout. When you look at Josh Sargent from Wolfsburg. He did nothing. Sick. With that being said, I think Norwich have actually got a very good core to their side. Not a great shout. We're going downhill now. Is Billy Gilmore. Oh dear, this didn't age well. In fairness, I think he's still a good player, but he didn't really help Norwich in the way that I thought he did. Okay, so overall, my relegation places weren't too bad. All three teams that I predicted to get relegated did get relegated, so it's not too bad. It's just all of the positions were wrong. Burnley and Watford were both just one position out of place from where they actually finished, whereas Norwich was the worst one in terms of my relegation predictions. I had them to finish in 18th, and they did finish bottom of the table, so it's not a great shout from me in that sense, but all in all, we're off to a pretty good start. 3 out of 3 in terms of the predictions for who got relegated. Not quite the right place. I've got some good ball knowledge up here, by the way. Apart from the Billy Gilmore shout. The Billy Gilmore shout, I'll hold my hands up. That was quite terrible. Onwards with the bottom half of the table. Now in 17th place, I've got Southampton. It's not a bad shout. Difficult for Southampton to try and replace the goals of the Danny Ings. There have been some dreadful cuts in this, and as I said at the beginning of the video, you know, it's one of my first videos, so I'll cut myself a little bit of slack, but in hindsight, there's some dreadful editing going on in this video, but it's okay. Now, with that being said, my player to watch is Che Adams, because he is, as I've said, got big boots to fill. Che Adams got 8 goals. That's not the best shout that I've ever had in my life. Not a great shout, but hey, you know, it's all speculation at the end of the day. 16th place, we've got Newcastle. Once again, not a terrible shout. Not a terrible shout. Now, my player to watch this season is a bit of an obvious one. It's Alan Saint-Maximin. Oh, I fucking love that picture. That's so class. It's interesting, actually, because obviously this was all filmed before the knowledge of the takeover was even anywhere close to being a thing. But even since Steve Bruce got sacked, Saint-Maximin hasn't really been like their star player to say. But it's not a bad shout, you know? For the beginning of the season, once again, it's not a bad shout. Moving on into 15th place, it's going to be Crystal Palace. I think it's a risky appointment for Patrick Vieira. Last time they opted for an experienced manager, Frank de Boer only lasted 5 games. Great stat! Crystal Palace this season is Christian Benteke. Terrible recommendation. Wow, we've just gone downhill so quick. So in the next 3 teams that we're looking at in the league, I only actually got one of them to be in this 3 that actually ended up in this 3. All of these teams were in the wrong position, but the closest one that I got to being right was Southampton. Southampton ended up finishing 15th. I had them to finish 17th, so there's a difference of 2 places, which isn't terrible to be fair. It's still not a bad start for us. You just wait. But there was a point in the season where they looked like they would finish a lot lower than they ended up doing. Newcastle, obviously, after the takeover, were just a different team. Like, it was fantastic for them, so I let myself off with that prediction. I had them to finish 16th. They actually finished in 11th place, which is a great position considering where they found themselves earlier in the season. Fair play to them. Crystal Palace as well are another team that I thought would struggle, but they actually had a very good season. They finished in 12th place. I had them to finish in 15th place, so it's only a difference of 3, which once again isn't terrible, but it's not great. We want to get some spot on, so whether or not I'm actually going to get that remains to be seen, but we'll see what the next 3 brings. Let's just get back into the video. 14th place now, we've got Wolves. Lost Nuno Espirito Santos to Tottenham. Credit where it's due, actually. Bruno Lage actually did a fantastic job with Wolves this season, and to be honest, I'd never heard of him before the season started. Wolves have easily outdone my prediction by a considerable margin, so fair play to them, but we'll crack on again with the rest of the predictions. Now, my player to watch for Wolves this season is Ruben Neves. Not a bad shout. I think that he's going to be really instrumental in being the heartbeat of Wolves' team. 13th place now, we have got Brighton. 2 players like Lamptey, Basuma, Dunk,
Trossard.
Why did I not just cut that? The pauses were so awkward and so long. He kind of gave me the ick, if I'm being perfectly honest. But as I said, we've come a long way.
My player to watch for Brighton this season is Lewis Dunk.
It's not a bad shout.
Brighton have, as of yet, not made a replacement signing for Ben White.
Dan Burn as well, by the way. I know he ended up leaving for Newcastle, but the impact that he's had at Newcastle just shows how important he ended up being to Brighton after Ben White actually left them. So fair play to him as well. I thought I'd give him a little shout out. Not that he fucking needs it. He plays in the Premier League.
That's why I've got them in 13th place. 12th place.
Not a bad prediction.
Brentford for the Premier League.
Not bad.
And I think that we could potentially see another Leeds here of a newly promoted side absolutely taking the Premier League by storm. Christophe Ayer is going to be my player to watch.
Didn't actually play as many games as I thought he would for Brentford this season, but in fairness, he's actually been very solid. I think the defence of Brentford is something that really kind of came through, especially towards the end of the season. They were very, very strong. So not a bad shout again. And a little Football Manager legend for me back in the day as well. So good lad.
Defensive solidity is going to be the most
Why was that so sinister? That was so strange. Sorry. I'm just going to keep pausing it every now and then because I'm freaking myself out.
Now,
that was weird as well. We're just going to move straight on to the predictions and see how well I did. First off, we'll start with Wolves. Only 4 places off. They ended up finishing in 10th place. So again, fair play to Wolves. Having Brighton in 13th was not quite a stinker. I mean, it was 4 places off. I had them to finish in 13th. They ended up finishing 9th. So it's not a great prediction, but I had them in and around the mid-table. So it's not terrible. I think that's some very impressive results along the way this season, beating teams like Manchester United, although admittedly a lot of teams managed to beat them. And I think they ended up having a very, very good season. Brentford as well, I think, has possibly been my best prediction so far. I was only 1 place off, and ultimately they had a fantastic season. I just had a feeling that coming up with a style of football that they play, very attacking, very exciting, never say die attitude, I felt like they always had a chance this season, and I'm very glad that they have stayed up. From that first game where they played Arsenal and you saw the fans crying in the stadium, you saw how much it meant to those long-term fans especially. I can only hope that they keep it up next season. With a little bit extra investment, I think they'll be absolutely fine to have another solid season. But otherwise, not a bad prediction. Let's just hope it kind of continues. It's actually not been as bad as I thought it was going to be.
We've got West Ham.
Oh, okay, that wasn't great.
I feel like their squad of 25 players is just too thin to be able to compete in the Premier League, the Cups and the Europa League.
Fair play to West Ham. I mean, you've massively proved me wrong there. You guys had a fantastic season and I'm very happy for you guys because I think West Ham's a great club. Played some great football. Beat Chelsea. We won't talk about that because, I mean, we did you at home afterwards, so it's absolutely fine. But another great season for West Ham.
Now, my player to watch for West Ham this season is Ben Rama.
He had a very good start to the season, to be fair. Ben Rama got 8 goals and 6 assists last season in 32 games of the Premier League, so not overly bad.
Everton.
Ladies and gents, we've had our first stinker. I'd have finished 10th place. They were scraping survival in the Premier League come the end of the season. That's a terrible prediction, but I'll speak more about it after we the next place team.
And I think Rafael Benitez faces a hell of a lot of pressure in winning over those Everton fans. I think he's a quality manager, but I think the fans are going to be demanding in excess of what I think he's going to produce.
That's a good point.
But I certainly don't think that they're going to be so poor that they fall into the bottom half of the table.
Terrible shout. I've had a stinker. I'll hold my hands up. I've had an absolute shitter with that one.
My player to watch for Everton this season is Jordan Pickford.
Yeah, fair play. He's probably their best player of the season anyway, to be honest, especially towards the end of the season.
This year is going to be a real statement year for Jordan Pickford.
I wouldn't go that far.
Start to sit up and take note of how good of a goalkeeper he really is.
Definitely wouldn't go that far.
Now moving on into 9th place, we've got Arsenal.
I've had another stinker.
My player to watch for Arsenal this season is Bukayo Saka.
He had a great season. 11 goals and 7 assists in the Premier League this season. Great season for him. So I'm very happy with myself with that shout. Not so happy with where I had them to finish. They ended up obviously finishing in 5th place, narrowly missing out on top 4. Arguably bottled it if anything. But the fact that I had them in 9th place is actually just vile. I'm so sorry, Arsenal fans, and fair play for outdoing my prediction. As I said, the video is a time-consuming project, but I think you've made a lot of progress this season, and the lack of European football I think has really helped you guys. But fair play. It's not the biggest stinker of the video though, and I think that one will be pretty hard to beat, and it is Everton in 10th place. I can't believe it. Obviously finished in 16th place, 6 places out. That's terrible. And West Ham as well was not a great prediction for myself. 4 places out in that one. We're starting to get a little bit downhill here, so not great on that front, but hopefully the next 3 will be a bit better.
Now moving on into 8th place, we've got Aston Villa.
Not a great shout.
There's no reason why this season or in seasons to come they can't push up and finish higher up the table.
Oh, stop talking.
For Aston Villa this season is Emi Buendia.
He didn't do great, did he? He had some really good moments, but ultimately in only 35 matches managed to get 4 goals and 6 assists, which is not great, really, when you think of all the hype for him at the beginning of the season. At the end of the day, there's only so much a man can do. It's his first season in the Premier League with Aston Villa, so, I mean, there's only room for him to improve, and I think the additions of the likes of Coutinho and even Steven Gerrard could coach him to potentially become an even better player next season.
7th place, we've got Leeds.
Oh, that's the worst one yet. I didn't think he could get worse. I didn't think he could get worse than Everton. I didn't even clock that I hadn't said Leeds. Oh, I fucked it. No, that's the worst one so far. That is genuinely the worst one so far. A whole 10 places out. That is outrageously bad. Way too much faith in the Leeds boys. I'm gobsmacked. Let's hear what I have to say.
They haven't really strengthened in a way that...
That's a great point. I think the lack of investment as well as the general injuries this season, which you can't predict the injuries. They've been probably the worst team to be affected by injuries. They had key players out from every position. And I think that combined with the lack of investment really characterised Leeds' downfall this season. And hopefully there will be some significant investment into this club in the next transfer window, but that remains to be seen.
I think that they're going to push on and could even potentially push into the European places.
Oh, I just keep making it worse for myself. Just shut up. I'll fuck this one so bad.
To watch for Leeds is Rafinha, the dynamic.
Yeah, fair play. He had a good season. Easily their best player.
Now moving on into 6th place, we've got Tottenham.
Oh, I think it's not a bad shout considering the beginning of the season.
However, I think Nuno Espirito Santo is a brilliant captain.
Oh no. Oh no.
And could potentially find himself being a new Maurizio Pochettino.
Oh my god, please just shush. Stop saying words. You're making it worse for yourself.
New signings that they've brought in. Romano from Atalanta.
Sorry, fucking who? Wait, what? I've just made up a player that doesn't exist. I mean, I know that I was on about Romero, but who the fuck is Romano? That's what I want to know.
Messy situation with Harry Kane at the start of the season is really going to impact him.
Do you know what? I called it. Well, anyway, I didn't necessarily think he was literally not going to score for a couple of months, but that's actually a very good shout. Up there with one of the best calls of the video, if I do say so myself.
My player to watch for Tottenham this season is Son Heung-min.
Great shout. Back with some good common sense. Great stuff. Golden Boot winner as well. I'm gassed. Right, so just a touch on those 3 teams. Aston Villa was not a great shout for myself. I had them to finish in 8th place. They ended up finishing 6 places lower in 14th. But Leeds, oh my, that's the worst one yet. 10 whole places wrong. Terrible prediction. I can't believe it. And I think Tottenham to finish in 6th place kind of was a little bit of a saving grace, because what you guys have got to remember is at the time, Harry Kane was pretty much destined to be leaving. Nobody expected him to stay. He obviously did. And I think, to be honest, the main factor for Tottenham securing Champions League football for next season has got to be put down to Antonio Conte. He's a great manager. And if there's a man that you want to try and transform your season and get you into the top 4, he's your man. And I think he's done a fantastic job with them. He's taken points from Liverpool and Manchester City. But they finished in 4th. I was 2 places out. Not terrible, but my God, the Leeds and Aston Villa predictions alongside with the Everton ones, absolutely shocking.
Now moving on into 5th place, we have got Leicester.
Not a great shout. Not a great shout, I'll be honest.
And the player to watch for Leicester this season is Kelechi Iheanacho.
Yeah, he got 4 goals and 5 assists. Bless him. I'm sure he's a bloody lovely guy. But as far as players to watch go, maybe the worst one yet. Maybe. I'm going to focus on Leicester now so we can get into the top 4. Leicester finished in 8th place, so 3 places out. It's not terrible prediction. I mean, it's not fucking Leeds or Everton, but it's also still not great. I feel like it was a very disappointing season for Leicester fans this campaign, but I mean, there's still a very strong squad there. You've got a good manager. It's just whether or not you can turn it around and beat those top 6 next season and maybe find yourself in a similar position to where you were in the previous seasons.
Now moving into the top 4, we have got Manchester United, quality team.
Oh, Manchester United are a quality team. The fact that I've said that with the hindsight of what's happened is not promising. But they have got an impressive squad. I think that's what's so kind of frustrating for Manchester United fans. You've got great players. You've got Cristiano Ronaldo. You've got Bruno Fernandes. You've got David De Gea. You've got some world-class talent in there. It's just Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wasn't able to unlock it. Ralf Rangnick definitely wasn't able to unlock it. And it just wasn't a very impressive season for you guys. You guys ended up finishing in 6th place, so I was 2 positions out. But we'll see who my key player is. I feel like I have a player in mind as who I would have picked.
My player to watch for the season is Harry Maguire.
Oh my God. There is no way. Nah, hang on a minute. I'm dreaming. I must be dreaming.
My player to watch for the season is Harry Maguire.
I said it. I fucking said it. I can only assume that this was filmed before Ronaldo came. Harry Maguire, of all people. That's the worst one I could have picked. No offense, Harry Maguire, because I do think there's a quality player in you, mate. He's just been a meme all season for all of the wrong reasons. Fucking hell. Right, let's just play.
Partnered with Varane, I think they're going to become an iconic centre-back partnership duo, especially in this league alone, but in Manchester United's history as well.
Oh, please stop talking. You're making it so much worse. Fuck's sake.
This season, people are going to sit up and take note of just how fantastic a centre-back Harry Maguire is.
Bro, how did that go for you, buddy? Do you want to tell me? Oh my god, that is the worst call of the video by far. It's embarrassing. Let's just move on. Okay. We're going to move on now.
Moving into third place, we've got Liverpool.
It gets worse. It gets worse. It gets so worse, doesn't it?
Now, my player to watch for Liverpool this season is Harvey Elliott.
Do you know what? Like, it's not even that bad. Obviously, the one to go for would be Salah. You know, that's an obvious shout. But I remember when I was doing this, I kind of wanted to go a little bit rogue and go for players that will kind of be more of a surprise package, I suppose, rather than a player to watch. And it was really unlucky because the start to his season was fantastic until he got that horrific injury and obviously didn't really have a lot of time towards the end of the season to kind of show the same glimpses that he was showing beforehand. So hopefully he can pick up next season and he can sort of be that player to watch. So with that, that does conclude our third place. I was one place off, so it's not terrible, but ultimately, again, with the hindsight of how it was Manchester City and Liverpool who were really battling it up there away from everybody else, the fact that I had them in third kind of makes it look worse than it is in a way, but it was only 1 point. Well done, Liverpool. You had a great season and you definitely outdid my predictions.
Now moving in to second and first place, we've got Chelsea and we've got Man City. Are Chelsea going to win the league?
Oh, no.
Yes, they are.
Fuck's sake. The editing as well just makes it funnier. Oh, I love myself. I love myself sometimes. I am a funny guy when I want to be. But that is shocking. Just to sort of touch on Chelsea and Manchester City. Manchester City, obviously a fantastic season. Really, really well done. Chelsea, on the other hand, we had some great games like against Norwich when we blew them away. But at the same time, we just struggled so much in front of goal. The whole Lukaku debacle didn't help. Sanctions put on the club didn't help. But ultimately, our performances on the pitch weren't good enough. Definitely not good enough to win the league. So maybe next year, you know?
The jewel in the crown in this Chelsea team is Romelu Lukaku.
Fuck's sake, that didn't age well.
One thing we were really lacking was goals.
Still lacking goals.
Can we keep that consistency throughout the whole season?
No is the answer, my friend.
Player to watch for Chelsea this season is my favourite Chelsea player of the lot. It's Reece James.
Goat moves. There is a reason why this lives on my wardrobe, because I love him with a passion. He's sick. He's had a fantastic season and he's just done so well. Obviously, he was injured for about a month or so or a few weeks, but his numbers were still so impressive. 5 goals and 9 assists in 26 games for a wing back is very impressive. And one of the things that I love about him is the fact that he's so solid at the back. And this season, I think he's really shown an improvement in his game going forward as well, which is what I just love to see. Reece James is the most complete fullback in the Premier League. I just think he's got it all. I think he's fantastic, and I'm going to stop talking now. We're going to get into Man City.
They're going to be everyone's favourites. They're probably the bookies' favourites. I think as the season goes on, I think that Pep really is going to want that Champions League.
It's not a bad shout. Okay, ladies and gents, that does wrap up my Premier League predictions for the table. We've still got the player awards to go through very quickly just at the end, but I do just want to say, Chelsea, obviously I was 2 places out of being correct. They finished in third. I had them to finish in first. A little bit of bias, obviously, on my front. Kind of want to take off this Chelsea shirt now. And Manchester City only 1 place out again. So the top 4, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. All in all, not great though, was it?
We'll start with the Golden Glove, because for me, I think that's the most obvious one of the lot, and I think it's going to be Edouard Mendy.
Oh, I'm such a twat. In fairness, Edouard Mendy is a fantastic goalkeeper. I think it makes sense with my prediction, but obviously in hindsight, wasn't a great shout. That award did end up getting shared by Alisson and Ederson, both with 20 clean sheets. Great season for them, but yeah, ultimately I was wrong on that front. Surprise.
Now, moving on from the Golden Glove, we're going to go straight to the Golden Boot. And for me, I think there's only one player that springs to mind as a player who's going to absolutely take the Premier League by storm when it comes to goals. and it's not Harry Kane. For me, I think it's going to be Mohamed Salah.
Okay, so Mo Salah, not a bad shout. I mean, he ultimately did end up winning the Golden Boot. He shared that award as well. He shared it with Son Heung-min. Well played, Son. Well played, Salah. All in all, not a bad prediction.
Young player of the season is where we're going to move to next. For me, it's a toss-up between Ferran Torres and Bukayo Saka. But out of the two of them, I'm going to go with Bukayo Saka.
I'm gassed. I'm glad that I went with Saka instead of Torres, because Torres obviously ended up moving to Barcelona from Manchester City. He was a bit of an interesting signing. But Bukayo Saka is not a bad shout for myself. That award did end up going to Phil Foden, who thoroughly deserves it. Bukayo Saka, as I already said, 11 goals and I think 6 assists in the Premier League this season is a very, very fantastic feat. He was one of the nominees, so I wasn't too far off.
The player of the year, 3 players spring to mind. And they are N'Golo Kante, Fernandes, and Mohamed Salah.
Okay.
Starting off with N'Golo Kante, they say that 90% of the world is covered by...
Okay, right, shut up.
...covered by N'Golo Kante.
You're a twat.
I think that Mohamed Salah is going to be the player to win the PFA Player of the Year.
Interesting. It's not a bad shout. He was again one of the nominees, but ultimately that award went to Kevin De Bruyne. So all in all, not a bad prediction for these end of season awards. It could have been better. I didn't get any of them right, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. Right, guys, that does bring us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, my final predictions table is here somewhere. I didn't do great, but I also don't think I made a complete mug of myself, apart from that Harry Maguire shout. That was abysmal. But it's always difficult to predict at the beginning of the season, especially when you have like an idea in mind, and obviously with the hindsight of how the season goes, you can end up making yourself look like a bit of a mug. So I hope you've enjoyed the mixture of thrills and lows of this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Comment what you think of my predictions. Comment how you did with your predictions. I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace and love.